Hi guys, welcome to another Divi theme video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Well, we got one for you today. Somebody asked us to do an inline contact form with 3 columns. That's what we've got here. And it's completely responsive. There you see it on desktop. If I hit my F12, I'm using Google Chrome. There it is on an iPad Air if I roll it up, right there. And if we go to a phone, it's going to stack again, because there's probably not enough width on a phone to be able to display it correctly. So we got it stacking just like that. Really easy to do, so let's get started. I'm going to go up and enable my Visual Builder. Once enabled, I'm going to go down. I will delete this section, we'll start from scratch. Okay, well let's add a new section. I'm going to click on the section above, hit the little blue button. I'm going to make mine a regular section. Inside, I'm going to put a single column, single row. And inside that, funnily enough, I'm going to use a contact form. Great. Well, by default, it puts in 3 fields there. I'm not going to use a message field because it's too large. Let's put in another text field. Perhaps have a subject or telephone number or whatever it is you want to ask yours. I'm going to say subject. And that's what I'll make the title also. That's what appears as the placeholder there, as you can see. Great. Design-wise, I want to make sure it's not full width. So I'm going to Design tab, Layout. I'm going to uncheck that. I know my other 2 aren't because they're side by side up there. Okay, well we've got our 3 little fields up there. I'm not going to go through this. I'm sure you know how to configure a contact form. Put your title if you want. That'll appear there in there. Message sent. Or whatever you want the success message to be when it pops up. There's a submit button. At the moment it's just got submit on there. You can write in whatever you want. Of course the important part is the email. That's where it's going to go. So that's you at your email address, wherever that may be. Don't want to redirect. Spam protection, I'm actually going to take that off. You can use a third party such as Google Recapture by switching that on and getting an API key. I'm going to turn this off for this demo today though. Don't want any link, don't want any background. So we're all good to go there. Okay, well in our main contact form settings, if we make sure we're on the contact tab, let's go into our first little field there, which is the name. We're going to go over to the advanced, the custom CSS, main element. I'm going to give it a max width. Now you've got to remember we're dividing this row with the amount of columns that we want. So on max width, we've got 3 actual fields and a button. So I'm going to do mine by about 25%. If you have less, you can make it bigger. If you have more, you can make it smaller. So let's say max width. I'm going to say 25%. Obviously adjust this to your needs. Semicolon. Now you may have noticed that's shrunk up now to 25% of our row. Now I know that I've got to add a bit of margin top, but I won't do that because you won't understand why I'm doing it. So I'll come back and do that in a moment. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to save, which will take us back to the main contact form again. Going to do the same for the email. Go into the email, advanced, custom CSS, main element, 25. Now for our subject field, we've got to dig a little bit deeper. So I'm going to go into there. Going to go to advanced. Going to go to custom CSS again. I am going to put my 25% in, but I want it to be over here somewhere. So I'm going to say float left, colon, left, and there may be a clear fix on there. So I'm going to say clear, colon, none. I want to take it off. I'm going to override its own styles there. So I've got to use the important to do this. So it's exclamation mark, important. And as you may have noticed, that's now jumped up to our next line, which is great. But you may notice that our little button there is out of line with our rest of our columns there. So we can either bring the button down or we can bring these columns up. I find it's easier to bring the columns up. So what I'm going to do is give this a bit of a negative margin. You can put it where you want. A little semicolon on the end. Always put a semicolon on the end. If you don't, it will not read the next line. So I'm going to give it a bit of negative margin on the top just to pull it up in line. I happen to know it's 1.5%. So let's try that. Margin, dash top, colon, negative, because we want it to go up, 1.5%. As you can see, that's jumped out, that's in line. What you can do with these things, if you've got a situation like that, you can sort of make them small enough, take them over there, and just use it as a rule to see that your things are in line there. That works perfectly for me. Great. Well, let's do this then. Just going to take that little bit of code there. Let's put a little semicolon just in case we want to add some more code later. I'm going to copy it, Control-C. I'm going to save it back to our main contact form. I'm going to go into the email. Just add it onto the one that we added there. Like I said, I could have put it in at first, but I wanted to show you why we were putting it in. Going to save that into the name, custom CSS, and I'll just pop it on the end of there. Fantastic. If I save this, save that, we've got them all nicely lined up. Fantastic. Let's put a little background in this section just to make this look a little more interesting. Blue tab for the section. Under content is where you'll always find background. Let's pop in a gradient. By default, it puts on a blue and green. I'm going to change that green to a black. That's all I'm going to do. Now, while we're in the section, I'm going to take away any padding top and bottom. So I've gone over to design, going to go down to spacing. To do that, I'll put a 0 in there. Hit the chain, it'll do the other side. Great. Well, in our row, I'm just going to add a little bit to the top and maybe shave off a little bit at the bottom. So the row, there's green tab. Going to go down to spacing. Let's see, that's 30 pixels top. We want to add a bit more. And remember, we've got those fields offset a bit. Let's say 50 pixels. And on the bottom, what happens if I put a 0 in there? A little bit short. Shave a little bit off the top there. Let's make that 40. That's almost right for me. Let's say 45. Great. That seems to be fairly central to me. We've got our button. If you wanted to decorate that button, I'm sure you know, just go into your contact form, to your design, and down to button. Then you can do custom styles. You can make it whatever color and give it whatever borders you want there. Let's just give it a white border so it stands out a bit. So I flip the little switch to on there. I'm going to roll on down. Here's the button border width. Let's make it 2 pixels. And the button border color, standard white, works perfectly. Great. So I'm happy with that. We've got our inline form. We've got the button. Let's take a look at it on tablet. The little purple button over here. When I go to tablet view, roll on down. May need to adjust the padding on this on tablet view. Make sure that we're on the tablet view by hitting the little mobile phone icon. When you roll up over the dark writing, common to all Divi modules, those little icons will appear. We are on tablet. Let's change that to 25 pixels. Yep, that works fine. But I can tell you now, when we get to mobile, let's just save that. It's not going to work. There's just not enough space for those 3 fields and a button in there. So I find it's better to collapse it down and have it stacking on top of itself again. So let's go back to desktop. And to do this today, I'm going to add a little code module. And you can add it wherever you want. They don't take up much real estate. I'm going to add it under this little blue CTA module there. Going to add a code module. Now, if you're just using this inline form on this one page, code module is absolutely fine. If you're going to be using it throughout your site, you'll want to put this in your additional CSS panel. To do that, dashboard, down to Divi, theme options. Under the general tab, if you roll all the way down, here's your custom CSS panel. And that, if you put it in here, you can use that form on any page. But I'm going to use a little code module for that today. Once you put it in there, make sure you save your changes. Okay. I've got to use a bit of CSS for this today. So up here, now the only bit of code I can't put down below the video today, I'll put all this CSS down there for anybody that wants it, are these style tags. To create style tags, it's left pointed bracket, the word style, and right pointed bracket. When you put in the right one, it'll put in the closing style tag. Then you can write whatever CSS you want in between these. Now, if you're using your additional CSS panel, you do not need these style tags. Okay, well, I want to create a media query because I only want this to happen on mobile. So I'm going to say at media. I'm going to open some round brackets and say max width. Max dash width. 767 is the actual breakpoint with Divi. Obviously, you can change this to what you want. So let's say 767 pixels. Now we've done that, we can open some curly brackets and tell it what we want it to do when the screen reaches that size. So I'm going to target the actual contact fields of this form. And that's going to be p.et underscore pb underscore contact underscore field. If you inspect these with your Chrome inspector, that's the actual class name you'll see for it there. Now we can tell it what we want it to do with that field. On mobile, I want that field to be 100%. So I'm going to say we made it max width is 25 on the last one. So let's say max.width 100%. And we're trying to override the styles there. So again, I need to use the important class, exclamation, and the word important. There we go. Now let's just save that. Let's take a look at it on mobile again now. Now when we go down to mobile, that's what we've got there. I'm going to add a little bit of margin on the bottom of this button, just on mobile, so we've got a little space on the bottom there. Let's go into that. I'm going to go over design and my button. I'll roll on down. We got the spacing here, button margin, button padding. Padding will make it taller or wider. Margin will push it up and down. So I think perhaps want a little bit more on top there. Let's get it 5 pixels. So it's a little bit of far away. And let's give it, say, 30 pixels on the bottom. That may be too much. Yeah, I think 20 will do it. So we've got a nice little space all around that button for them to hit, fill out their name, address, and subject. That's great. If we go back to tablet, that works fine. And let's go back to desktop. And there it is right there. So there you go, guys. Let's make sure this is going to work on the front end. Make sure your purple buttons click. Save the page changes. And exit the Visual Builder. And there we have our inline 3-column contact form. I hope you've enjoyed this today and found it useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, ring the bell, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget, if you've got any questions, pop them below the video. I'll do my best to answer them or make a little demo video for you. Once again, this has been Jamie with System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.